Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through, articles, research, stacks of notes, and pull out those really essential, maybe surprising bits of knowledge. Today, we're taking a truly fascinating dive into a profession that's kind of everywhere, but often feels a bit like a black box: management consulting. Your sources gave us a ton of information, and our mission really is to get a handle on what management consultants actually do and trace the surprisingly long history of this profession. Plus, figure out why they're still so incredibly vital in today's, constantly shifting business world. Get ready for some unexpected insights, things that might just reshape how you see this field that impacts businesses all over the globe. So let's maybe cast our minds back, way back. When did this whole field, this idea of like external business advice, really start to take shape?
Yeah, it's actually fascinating how deep the roots go. It really emerged late 19th century, right in the thick of the Industrial Revolution. The first firm that people widely recognize as a management consulting firm, Arthur D. Little, that was established way back in 1886.
1886.
Wow. Yeah, and back then the focus was very much on efficiency, productivity. It drew heavily on principles from guys like Frederick Winslow Taylor, scientific management.
Right, the efficiency efforts, stopwatches on the factory floor sort of thing.
Exactly, that kind of thing. Optimizing workflows, processes, squeezing out maximum output. It was all about making operations leaner, faster, more effective.
So almost like the original process engineers, yeah. Optimizing factories. But then, okay, fast forward into the 20th century,
Yeah.
the industry just exploded, right?
hmm
How did it jump from just pure efficiency to, well, the strategic giant it is today?
Exactly. It wasn't long before businesses realized they needed, well, more than just operational tweaks. As global business got way more complex, especially after the world wars and into that post-war boom,
Mm-hmm.
the demand for high-level strategic planning just shot up. And this is the era where you see the rise of the big names you know now: McKinsey and Company, Boston Consulting Group, BCG, Bain and Company.
It's the big three eventually.
Right. And they weren't just about making the existing machine run better. They were designing entirely new machines in a way, introducing big strategic concepts like portfolio management, competitive advantage.
So a real shift in focus.
A profound shift, yeah. From that sort of technical engineering focus to offering high-level strategic and operational advice that could fundamentally reshape whole companies.
Okay, and then bringing us more up to date, late 20th, early 21st centuries. The pace of change just went into overdrive.
Yeah.
How did these big firms or the industry overall cope with the digital revolution, globalization, all the disruption?
Well, that's where you really see how resilient the industry is, the late 20th, early 21st century. It brought in a whole new era. It was defined by, first, the globalization of the consulting firms themselves. They went everywhere. And second, this deep, almost inseparable link with technology.
Technology integration, right?
Absolutely. We saw the rise of digital transformation,
Yeah.
which, isn't just about software. It's fundamentally changing how businesses operate. Plus, specialized IT consulting and even really critical areas now like sustainability advisory services.
Sustainability, yeah. Huge now.
Huge. And firms didn't just add these as menu items. They embedded advanced tools, things like data analytics, maybe building predictive models to forecast market shifts, or using AI and machine learning to find hidden efficiencies in, say, complex supply chains that a human just couldn't spot.
Wow. So really embedding tech deep inside their process.
Exactly. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it just underlines how the industry has constantly had to reinvent itself,
Yeah.
responding to every economic shift, every tech leap, every market demand,
Okay.
positioning itself as this, absolutely critical partner for organizations trying to navigate constant, sometimes bewildering change.
Okay, so we've traced this incredible evolution from factory floors to AI models. But let's bring it down to earth. What does all this mean for what a consultant actually does, day to day? Because looking at that history, it sounds like they wear way more than just one hat.
Oh, absolutely. Many hats. At their core, though, you could say management consultants are catalysts for change. They act as strategists, problem solvers, and really importantly, trusted advisors. Their basic function is to guide organizations towards better performance. How? By rigorously analyzing existing problems and then developing clear, actionable plans for improvement.
Okay, actionable plans.
Right. And what's often maybe misunderstood is that the role isn't static at all. It's incredibly multifaceted. It always adapts to the unique, often emerging needs of each client.
You use the term problem solvers, and I think for a lot of people that sounds well, pretty straightforward. But I get the feeling it's much more complex than just, finding a quick fix. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah. It really is much more complex. They provide objective advice, specialized expertise, aimed squarely at creating value, maximizing growth, significantly improving a client's business performance. And this isn't just like surface level diagnosis.
Right.
It involves really immersing themselves in the nitty gritty of a business, like untangling a really tangled knot to pinpoint the root causes and then devise solutions that often just aren't obvious from inside the organization.
Ah, so that external perspective is key.
It's crucial they bring that essential, external, unbiased lens. They can see patterns or obstacles that internal teams might overlook, maybe because of groupthink or just, we've always done it this way.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for someone trying to really picture the concrete actions, what are the core responsibilities a consultant juggles on a, let's say, typical project?
Sure, you can break it down into maybe 8 key responsibilities. They often happen in sequence, but it can be dynamic. First, problem identification. This is step 1, and it's critical. It's not just finding a problem, but often digging down to find the root cause that's hidden under layers of symptoms. Needs sharp analytical skills, industry knowledge.
Okay, finding the real problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, research and analysis. Once the real problem's clear, they do meticulous research, gathering data points, interviewing key stakeholders, sometimes right across an organization, and really importantly, benchmarking against industry standards.
Benchmarking, like comparing.
Yeah, comparing a client's performance metrics against, say, the best in class in their sector helps pinpoint gaps and opportunities. Third is strategy development. Based on all that analysis, they craft bespoke strategies, not off-the-shelf stuff.
Right. Tailored.
Tailored. Could be anything from a big organizational restructuring to redesigning a core process or mapping out a tech implementation. Fourth, recommendations. They pull everything together, synthesize their findings, and present clear, data-driven recommendations, usually in, those crisp reports and executive presentations. Communication skills are vital here.
Making complex stuff simple.
Precisely. Fifth, implementation support. Now, they don't always do this, but often they'll stick around to help clients actually put the solutions into action. This often involves project management, change management, making sure it actually happens smoothly.
Seeing it through.
Seeing it through. Sixth, performance measurement and evaluation. Super important. Establish clear metrics to track the impact of the changes, monitor progress, and then, adjust the strategy if needed to make sure you get the desired results and they stick.
Measuring success.
Yep. Seventh, facilitating change and transformation. Consultants often act as change agents. That means navigating internal politics, maybe overcoming resistance, fostering a culture that's actually open to new ways of working. That's a tough one sometimes.
I can imagine.
And finally, eighth, providing expertise and insight. They bring specialized knowledge clients might lack internally. Could be about emerging market trends, new regulations, cutting-edge tech. It's applying that insight to the client's specific challenge.
Wow. That is an incredibly wide range of responsibilities. It really does sound like they touch almost every part of a business. Can you give us maybe some concrete examples? The breadth of work across different areas.
Absolutely. The scope is, comprehensive. For instance, they're deep into strategic planning, helping clients figure out their long-term direction, market entry, new products, competitive stance.
Big picture stuff.
Big picture. Then there's operational improvement, diving into a supply chain to fix inefficiencies costing millions. Or optimizing manufacturing. You find them in financial advisory, too. Advice on financial planning, capital allocation, M&A, restructuring.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah, complex stuff. And as we said, a huge area is technology implementation, guiding clients through massive digital transformations, ERP rollouts, AI strategy. And finally, they're very involved in human resources, advising on organizational structure, company culture, talent management. The people side.
Okay. So pulling all of this together then, what's the fundamental value proposition? Why do companies, even massive ones with huge internal teams, keep bringing in management consultants? What do they bring that clients just can't get internally?
Right. The core value, the reason companies pay the big bucks, it really lies in their ability to bring that fresh, objective, external perspective, even to the most stubborn problems.
That outside view again.
That outside view. They don't just solve problems. They combine rigorous analytical skills, deep industry-specific knowledge, and a really broad perspective they get from working across tons of different organizations and sectors.
Mm.
And that unique combo lets them quickly pinpoint the real root causes, not just the symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and then craft these bespoke solutions that are practical, innovative, and crucially actually executable in that specific client's world.
Executable. That's key, not just theory.
Not just theory. Ultimately, they help businesses navigate profound change, adapt quickly to shifting markets,
Yeah.
and position themselves strategically for a long-term success and, resilience.
Thinking about all those responsibilities, that breadth of work,
Mm-hmm.
it really hammers home that idea of consultants wearing many hats.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not a static role.
Mm.
So this raises an important question. If you had to pick out some of the most representative hats, what would they be? How do they kind of blend together?
You're absolutely right. Their versatility is like a hallmark of the job. They wear loads of hats, but let's maybe focus on, say, 4 key ones that show their dynamic nature and how they often blend. First, you've got the analyst. This is the person meticulously digging through mountains of data, market research, financials, operational metrics.
Data crunching.
Yes, but not just crunching, connecting the dots, deriving insights hidden in the numbers, asking, what's the data really telling us?
Hmm.
Then there's the strategist. This hat is about mapping out the long-term game plan, considering different options, assessing risks, anticipating roadblocks, moving from what is to what could be, often planning a multi-year journey.
Looking ahead.
Exactly. Then, crucially, there's the facilitator. Consultants often act as a neutral guide, leading workshops, high-stakes meetings, trying to align different stakeholders, bridge internal gaps, build consensus around tough decisions,
Getting everyone on the same page.
kind of enabling the team to find their own solutions, but within the consultant's structured approach. It's an art. And finally, a really high-impact hat. The change agent. This isn't just recommending change, it's actively driving it, communicating a compelling vision, tackling fear and resistance, helping the organization actually embrace new ways of working.
Making it happen.
Making it happen, nudging, persuading, equipping people for the unknown. And the real artistry of consulting is often in switching seamlessly between these hats, being the analytical researcher one minute, the diplomatic facilitator the next, the visionary strategist after that, all within the same project, sometimes even the same meeting.
Analyst, strategist, facilitator, change agent.
Yeah, they don't just advise, they enable, they make change possible.
Wow, what an absolutely incredible deep dive into management consulting.
Yeah.
From those, well, really surprising historical roots back in the late 19th century, just chasing efficiency,
Mhm.
to this huge dynamic range of roles they play today.
Mm.
It's clear this field is anything but static.
Indeed. It really does highlight the pivotal role consultants play around the world, helping organizations not just get by, but really thrive when things are constantly changing and uncertain. By bringing that external expertise, crafting genuinely actionable solutions, they're instrumental in guiding businesses towards growth and, well, long-term sustainability, everywhere from startups to global giants.
So a final thought for you listening. Given how incredibly varied the role of a management consultant is, all those different hats, and how deeply they get embedded in businesses, what kind of hat do you feel you most often wear in your own work, whatever that may be? And how might understanding these different consulting roles, maybe the analyst, the strategist, the facilitator, the change agent, how might that help you refine your own approach for even greater impact? Something to think about.